Yes, hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you will see the video. Welcome to the year 2026. There is a lot to do. And yeah, what we will not give up is looking to the world from a biblical Christian worldview. And this is not so easy because there are a lot of messages around the world who tell us how we should see the world, and forces who say you should have this or that. But let us not be confused. Really focus on the Bible, and the main thing is that we are specialists in let's say worldview and understanding the world from a biblical Christian perspective. That means we look to an issue and test it according to the Bible to understand what would be God's view for this topic. Yeah, the year 2026 started not really nice. Trump took Maduro in Venezuela. What is now the Bible telling about that? That's a difficult question. I think generally, just to say, we should not judge too early. We should have a bit time to reflect, to see, to hear what all the people are saying. But generally, what I observe is that everybody's doing what he wants. I mean, the Russian overtook Ukraine, and from their point of view, it was not a conquering of Ukraine. It was just a liberation of the Russian population in the Crimea, let's say 2014, because there are more than 60% are Russians and more than 80% are speaking Russian. So the majority is belonging to the Russian community. So for them, it's not a trade against the Ukraine, it's a deliberation. And so, I mean, America is doing the same thing. They took Venezuela or took the president captive, and they say, yeah, it's not a breaking of international law, because the UN Charter said it's not allowed to conquer a country or to tread a country, or even it's not allowed to intervene in internal affairs. I mean, everybody is interpreting it in this way, and America say, "Oh, I mean, Venezuela and Maduro is a threat for America." I mean, he is a drug, he's a drug cartel. He is in it. He is delivering drugs to America, and thousands of Americans die because of that. Then he's oppressing the people, and a lot of refugees fleeing through America, and all the criminals that he hosts, and also the Hezbollah and blah blah blah. I mean, and for him or for America, the view is we are allowed, according to the UN Charter, to defend ourselves. So it's a defend, it's not an attack. And so the whole world is looking for itself and interpreting the law according to himself. And what is missing is an international standard where people can hold on. Or let's say, where is the fear of God, where we have not just go for our own interest, for the nation's interest, so that we have to obey a higher law. And this is what the Christians could do in the Second World War. After the Second World War, they started with this idea of the UN, who should be an international law standing over every nation and say every nation is supreme. It's not allowed to conquer a nation. It's not allowed to intervene in a nation. And so it gives an equality to all the nations, and this should be the main idea was to create peace, or say create a tool that is the less evil for these evil people, that peace is possible. So it's actually functioned the last 70 years, but more and more and more, and this is now functioning, and it's not just the UN, it's also the WTO or the IMF, the World Bank, and so on. All the international agreement, these international law are no more counting. Everybody is interpreting them in the way that fit the best to them. And of course, America say we intervene because it's really not a democratic nation, and they oppress the people, and it will be a damage for the whole world, and therefore we are allowed. to do the less evil. And this is always the big question. So what is the less evil? Is there international law? Is there not? But I tell you this story because I want to point to one thing. There's God. God, there is a law over everybody. And when Christians understand that, and understand that not just for their moral life or for the church issue, but understand that for the whole world, that there is an international law, also there is God who created the world, who give a moral absolute law, who give not just natural laws, but also moral laws or laws how a nation should function together, how we should treat one another. If we understand that, then we have something to say to politics, to business, to education, to science, to every sphere of society. We are the specialists in all of them. So, but the point is that we Christians need to change our worldview first. We need to change ourselves first. We need to change our thinking, our understanding, how the world is functioning in God's view. And if we understand that, then we would be able to bring a system who bring peace in the world. Not perfect. It will never be perfect. We are not perfect. We are sinners as well. But if we find a common ground, then we can build a system that bring the less evil, that make peace as much as possible. The UN Charter and the UN, it was never perfect. And all the players played the games and the hidden operations and overthrown of governments and so on and so on. But in general, there was an orientation, an international orientation, like God who gave us moral law, and all the Christians could orient to us. And now this is the point of why we do what we do in our biblical Christian worldview, seminars or schools or applied theological schools, to understand the world, that this moral standard, this absolute standard that would give us orientation how the world is functioning, is not just for the church. It's not just for your moral life. It's not just for your family. It's for the whole society, for the political system, for the business, for education, for science, for media, for arts, and so on and so on. So this is what we have to learn as Christians. We are the only one who can bring a system that creates peace in a sustainable way. Not perfect. It will always be a bit tricky and people misuse it, but it will bring good, more good than evil. And we can do that. And so I think this drama that we saw with Donald Trump and Maduro, it's a good example for what we can do, and what we can do, and what we are able to do. We can go in the world. We have the answers. We have the answer for or against corruption. We have the answer how corruption can change. It's not the issue of the system, it's the issue of the heart. Who is the specialist of that? We are the specialists. But we have to understand how to do that and bring this hard issue or God's idea into reality in our constitutions, in our systems. And we have to build a system that reflect the Creator the best, like once they built up the UN. But also in the whole idea how an economy should work, how businesses should work, how our school system should work, how we educate the people, what do we tell our children, how the world is functioning. We have to understand it. And this is what we are doing. And I hope now that you get inspired for 2026, that you get hope, that you get motivation to say, wow, I have something to say. The world is waiting for me. It's waiting for me that I stand up and give advice in the spheres that I am in. So not everybody is on a political sphere, but everybody's involved in business or in his job or in agriculture or whatever. everybody has live in the spheres of society. And the society is waiting, is lacking for you, that you are come and tell them how to do it. Give orientation to the people. So one big movement in this new year is that the young generation, especially in the West, is looking for orientation again. They going back to old traditional churches who has a strong frame because they look for a orientation. They don't want to have just freedom of everything. They need orientation. They look strongly for a God, for something over them. They not just want to have practical application. They don't want to have just entertainment and big events and television shows and so on. They look for deep encounter with God. They look for something more than just what they can see around. There's a big chance for us as Christians. We can fill these needs of the young generation who is looking for orientation. We can bring them because we have this. And so this is what we are doing in all our trainings. It's not just understand the Bible and understand a bit more about Abraham and Isaac and I don't know. It's about to understand how the world is functioning. Therefore, God gave us the Bible to give this understanding to us. So how do we treat with one another? So how do we build up a family, but also how do we build a political system, and how build we economic? I would know what to change in our economical, monetary system in the moment, because I know it, because the Bible is telling it. So we can actually take everything, let's say Bitcoin, we can take Ukraine and the war in Ukraine and so on, and test it according to the Bible. The Bible is saying something about that. So a teacher, Linda Cope, she said, the Bible is telling us 2,000 times something about business. Okay, I don't know if it's really true, but the Bible is full of advice for business, for money, and so on and so on. But we have to recover that. And it's not just about salvation. It has a lot more to tell. So we have to recover that. We have to see that. And we have to put that in our system or our world today, our culture, and put this together and then build up a new system that would fit, that would please God, that would bring the good. So we have to renew our mind. It's time this year, a new year. We want to bring new things, and the main or the world words of the churches is He makes everything new according to Revelation 21, or He makes everything new. And I think this year is a year where He makes everything new as well, new things in you. But these new things can only come when we renew our worldview, we renew our mind, we understand that He is bigger than we thought before. And this is why we do what we do. In our biblical trainings, in our biblical Christian trainings, in our applied theology. And so I hope this could encourage you for going on this year, for taking your place. You have something to say. The world is looking for you. So thank you very much for listening, taking the time to get inspired. And if you want to give a feedback, you are warmly welcome. Thank you very much and have a blessed year 2026. That you are blessed, that you can be a blessing for many. Amen.